How do you think this potential lack of appreciation for sales reps, whether it's sales leaders not appreciating sales reps, or maybe even customers not really understanding or appreciating how hard it is to be a sales rep, what kind of impact does that or can that have on sales reps and the sales results that they end up coming up with or not coming up with, because of course they don't feel positive or happy in their role?
Everyone appreciates being appreciated, valued, and being part of something. And I think when employees lack that sense of belonging, it doesn't only affect their job performance, but also their retention in the long run. And the last thing you want as a sales manager is a team that is not committed and ultimately disengaged. You want them to think that you care about them, not because of the numbers they bring. You really do care about them on a human level.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think that has become harder with the pandemic, like being able to show your appreciation for your sales reps because you're not in the same place maybe, and you have to kind of organize it more, like, hey, let's have a coffee chat and let's like talk about how well you did or whatever it might be?
For sure. For a lot of companies, working remotely or working from home was definitely not the norm. So they had to adjust a fair bit. And a lot of these sales teams were used to working out of the same office, in the same department. They're all sitting side by side. So it was easy to kind of motivate each other, keep an eye out on each other. A lot of companies even had gongs that they'd bang, whenever they close a deal. So it has become quite hard. And it's been a major shift, a major change for a lot of companies, something that they haven't been used to. So it's something definitely a lot of companies have had to adapt. And for us at Leadfeeder, for example, it's been very different. We've been working remotely ever since the company was founded. So our whole culture is built up on remote first. And so for ourselves, we've been very used to motivating salespeople remotely. But for a lot of companies, for most companies out there, it's definitely been something very new.
And what exactly do you do to motivate your sales team and show them that you're appreciating them, or appreciating that maybe right now is a harder climate to sell in? What specifically do you do, or do you say to them to motivate them and show them your appreciation?
So I've been a salesperson myself, and I know that my team's day-to-day is a grind. They're facing rejection pretty much on a daily basis. And any person who's listening, if they've been in a sales role, they probably agree. So whenever my team does something good, something extraordinary, for example, they close a massive deal, just I take a moment to recognize their efforts, their hard work, everything they put into achieving and securing that deal. And that just comes down to whenever things don't go as planned, I'll be the first one on their backs. Like, you're not hitting your number, you're not achieving this, but it should go both ways. We should always, reward that hard work and be there for both the good and the bad. What I tend to do with my team is I occasionally send them a thoughtful message whenever they're least expecting it, like, well done with this, or good job on this, and just generally checking on them a lot more often, especially with the pandemic and things going on in certain parts of the world. I just like to let them know and remind them that I'm there for them, not only on the professional side, but on the personal side as well. If they need me, they need my help, they need my assistance, they like my advice, I'm there for them.
Yeah, cool. You sound like a good boss. So what should them frontline sellers do if they don't have such a good leader as yourself, and they feel like they're not being appreciated, or that they're not having their feelings kind of discussed and put into the open? How can they kind of discuss that with colleagues or management in a way that is constructive, and actually leads to a positive change?
I think that lack of appreciation usually goes unnoticed a lot of the times by both, your boss or your colleagues, just because people are usually very self-centered, or they're really very busy with what's going on in their own lives, that they forget and they don't realize what's going on externally, right? So they might not realize themselves what's going on in your life. And if you think this might be the case, just don't be afraid to speak up. Just bring it up in your one-to-ones, in your meetings with the team. And if you notice that nothing changes over the course of time, in the long run, after you've brought something to their attention, you may want to seek a role elsewhere.
That is very good advice indeed. So we've talked a little bit about, appreciation in terms of verbal appreciation, giving people positive feedback and constructive criticism.
Mhm.
Um, there was a survey that was done a few years ago in a LinkedIn group called Sales and Marketing Leaders on the topic of what motivates salespeople. And actually, it found that the majority of sales reps said that they preferred or they would opt for recognition as opposed to financial incentives, so money, as a key factor that motivates them, which I think is super interesting considering that financial compensation is probably still one of the key motivating strategies at sales organizations. So why do you think that is? Why do you think sales reps in particular are really, they care about recognition over money, as this survey seems to suggest? Why do you think that is?
Very interesting indeed. I'm just curious, do you know if this survey was by any chance aimed at junior salespeople or senior sales
Absolutely
reps?
no idea.
The only reason I ask is because traditionally people are lured into sales for the potential to earn more. That's what attracts them to join sales.
Yeah.
It's only after some time that that motivation might change. I reckon that post COVID, we might witness a shift and importance given to things like working from home,
Mm,
flexible working hours. Those things may be more sought after than that
yeah.
financial compensation.
And so do you think it will be important that sales organizations, teams offer this as a way to bring more salespeople in? And do you think that if sales reps are pursuing potentially financial incentives over recognition and the enjoyment of the job, that ultimately they're not going to feel fulfilled in a sales role?
Absolutely. It will really be down to the companies to really adapt with the times and,
Mm,
and change, and then kind of see what else, what other companies are offering, those at least who are leading in being remote first, for instance, and just what people want, just asking people what would they like and
yeah.
where their goals are, where their expectations are, and kind of see as closely match them as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose it's fair to say maybe that salespeople have not the most positive reputation amongst normal people. I put in quotation marks, especially with perhaps customers that are not really sure what salespeople do, what their motivations are, and they're reluctant to, yeah, to really engage with sales reps because of this very negative stereotype, which in most cases is not true at all.
Mhm.
What do you think sales reps can do to overcome this stereotype and actually show customers that what motivates them is actually helping them, and therefore hopefully gaining a bit more respect and appreciation from the customers that they hope to serve?
Oh, exactly just that. Being transparent, open, being upfront with the customer, managing expectations. Just honesty goes a long way.
Yeah.
I still see, salespeople hiding things or unwilling to disclose things, or a lot of them are just very much self-centered or very much just interested in their own goals. And adopting a more altruistic approach will really help them empathize a lot more with the prospect and really help them with their own goals and objectives. But it has to come from within.
Hmm.
I like to think that if you can't motivate yourself as a sales rep, no one else will do it for you. And that external motivation that you might get from somewhere will often be very much short lived.
Mm.
So it has to really come from within, wanting to change and wanting to be better and wanting to ultimately change that perception that people have on us in sales.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then maybe just quickly, I know I just sprung it on you that it's National Salesperson Day next week, but do you have any plans to celebrate with your team now that you know, or what potentially will you do to celebrate, even just on your own in home office?
I'll probably hop on a call with my team on the day, let them know this is the day, and I'll maybe send them a little something, just a physical gift through the post,
Mhm.
perhaps just to show them my appreciation, give them that little praise for their hard work so far for the start of the year.
Yeah, cool. And the last question, maybe quickly, what would you say to any sales rep that might be struggling right now because of the much bigger picture of the pandemic, but also because it's actually just pretty hard to be in sales in the middle of an economic downturn and a pandemic. What advice would you give them to maybe lift their mood and make them feel more positive going forward?
Keep calm, keep at it, and keep on going on. These bad times will come to an end, and all you have to do is just put in the work, continue doing what you're doing, and at some point when things get better, you'll realize that all those worries. Of course, there's a lot of things that are happening around you that you can't control. So just focus on what you can control. And like I said, this won't go on forever. We will get through this together.
I think that's the perfect point to end.